children of Israel out of Egypt to the Red Sea. He's hardened the heart of Pharaoh and caused them to pursue the people. Now they find themselves in a predicament, a bad hand and a bad situation, trapped by the enemy. I know that we're people of faith, but let's just be honest about it, Pastor. We've all been there, haven't we? Yes, sir. We've all found ourselves in a bad situation that we couldn't get ourselves out of. We're going to have a witness in the house. Sometimes we are there because of foolishness on our own part. Wrong choices and wrong actions, wrong association and wrong instruction. But sometimes there is no other explanation but the devil. See, we have an adversary who hates us. Yes, sir. And it's his intent to destroy our lives. He's coming after you. He's coming after your marriage. He's coming after your family. He's coming after your children. For the Bible declares that the devil comes but for to steal, kill, and destroy. Is there anybody who knows what it feels like to be caught somewhere in something that seems to have no way out? The text says that they are hemmed in. Hemmed in on all sides. The Red Sea in front of them. Mountains on one side. An impassable desert on the other side of them. While the enemy was on their back. Tell your neighbor that's a bad hand. They looked at the hand they were dealt, and the text says that they began to murmur and they began to grumble and complain. They began looking backwards and began to blame God for not making everything easy for them. Calling his love into question for allowing them to struggle and to suffer. Can I preach like I really We forgot how God had just a few short days ago saved and delivered them out of the hands of Egypt, our slavery. Or isn't that just like our whole world? Oftentimes we too forget how good God has been, how God has watched over us, and how God has brought us safe. While he brings us out of our mess, but we grumble and we want to go back to the same old situation that he just got us out of. Well, I wish I had a witness in it. As soon as he delivers some folks from some bad relationships, we go bad relationships. He delivers people from drug and alcohol in the moment trouble shows up in our lives, we go right back to the same. He delivered somebody from overdue bills and gave us a good credit history, and we go right back to charges once again. The people had come out of Egypt, but Egypt hadn't come out of Egypt. Am I on anybody's street in here tonight? I'm trying to help somebody tonight. You've been crying out to God for deliverance, and it looks like and feels like everything has gone from bad to worse and to impossible. But here's the shock for you tonight. God always has another move. It doesn't matter what you're going through. God always has another move. It doesn't matter how dark it gets. God always has another move. Tell somebody, play your hand. God has a trap set. Look at the text. And the Lord said to Moses, why do you cry unto me? Brothers and sisters, I don't believe that God was telling Moses not to pray. But I believe God was saying, I've heard your prayers. I've already fixed the problem. I don't know who that was for tonight. The trap wasn't for the children of Israel. The trap was for the Egyptians. Here's what you missed in that. The trap is not for you. The trap is set for your enemy. God has set a trap just for your enemy. God will let your enemies think that they have you trapped. God will let your enemies see you cry. God will let your enemies see your struggle and see your pain that you're going through. But I dare you to tell somebody it's a trap set. You want to go ahead and give God He's already taken care of your enemy. He's been using dilemmas, and he's been using your storms to draw your enemy together out of hiding. Some of the ones that used to walk around talking about you behind your back. Now standing up in your face. Some of them have been working in the darkness, but God just flipped on the light. He's uncovering them folk. God is pulling them out of their hiding place. And he's going to take care of them once and for all. Somebody needs to prophesy right now and declare, tonight is my night. So being a good Methodist preacher, there are 3 points. I believe, amen, the text is telling to teach us about how to win with a bad hand. The first thing I want to leave you with tonight is God positions himself between you and your circumstances. I'm still in the text. The Egyptians came stampeding down on the children of Israel, all the chariots of Egypt, 600 chosen chariot captains, and every one of them, all the chariots and horsemen of Egypt, with Pharaoh leading the charge. And the Bible says they followed Israel into the midst of the sea because they thought their hand was trump tight. These things. If God be for us, who can be against us? Tell your neighbor, I've got God on my side. Can I push my point? Pharaoh's army was closing the gap. The Israelites could hear the chariots rumble. They could hear the clatter of the swords and the shields and the spears. Somebody is in that place right now. The enemy is so close to you that you can hear the rattle and the clanging of his artillery. You can hear his voice. You can hear him talking behind your back. You hear people saying you'll never make it. You can hear folk making plans to take over. But the Bible says in verse 24, and it came to pass that in the morning watch, the Lord looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians. Now, this is what I want you to take notice of tonight. The angel had been in front of them. Yes, sir. Watch the text. I'm still in the text. But now he repositions himself and goes from in front of them to behind. And I can imagine that the children of Israel began to get it twisted because they saw that the angel had moved and changed position. And they said, Lord, why are you leaving us now when we need you the most? I don't know who I'm preaching to, but you need to know that sometimes God will lead us so far. Then he shows up and turns and goes behind us so that he can protect our back. In other words, God gets between our problems, our circumstances, and us. He moves to our back to keep the enemy from overtaking us. I wish I had 25 people in the house that don't mind giving God praise right along your there. Because you thought you were all by yourself, but God had gone behind you. Amen.